Is there a way to know how many people are out there?
20.
20? All right.
You're live.
That's great. We're going to call the meeting to order in just a minute and a half. We'll give a few minutes for
22,
people
it's right there.
to accumulate.
23.
Who knows? It could reach best attendance ever.
Oh, now it's 16. Oh, now it's 12. People love this Fortnite part. Wrong channel.
I think Deanne's walking in the door, so we'll give her a minute to join us. And Caroline, when you do that, what happens to what you just did?
So that.
It's a whole new world.
Shane says the typing is loud. Did you see that?
I don't think we'll have to do much typing.
I'm going to get the speaker in the center of the table.
How's the volume? How does Shane think the volume is from us? We're live.
Thanks. Things are going on.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
We're here.
Hi, Carson. We're live. So either take a seat over there or hi.
How about Alan?
Okay, I think we should get started.
All right, welcome everyone. Looks like we have 15 people tuning in. My name is Kevin Duncan, and I'd like to call the 2020 annual meeting of the American Alpine Club to order. I will turn it over to Mr. Landman for the Secretary's report and approval of the minutes.
Before you do that,
Oh, sorry.
is the slide that's showing there, Caroline, the slide that everyone's seeing? Okay, now let's go to the minutes.
So the first action we want to take is to adopt the minutes from the February 2019 meeting, which are online.
They're linked to the page that launches this meeting.
So, do we want to hear anyone propose that we adopt the minutes?
Can anyone out there find a way to make a motion to us to adopt these minutes? Can anyone in the room make said
I
motion?
will make a motion to adopt the minutes.
Dan Buck moves that we adopt the minutes. Is there a second?
I second.
Carson Sherpa is the second. Any discussion?
All in favor, any discussion? If there's any additions or deletions, just let us know via email would be great. And with that, I will ask for approval. All in favor? You guys can say yes.
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 All right. All right. Thank you. Adopted. We'll turn it over to Mr. Powers for the CEO report.
I'm laughing because I got a text motion.
From John Bird.
No, I got one from Chris Winter. Great. So we'll get more nimble as we move through the agenda. No one will have to make any motions for a moment. Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about the last year and where we're at right now. We've reorganized the business here at the American Alpine Club to make sure that there is a solid leadership team in place, especially as we move through the next year. I think everybody knows that this is my last year on the job as CEO of the American Alpine Club. It's been a great 15 years. But as we move into that transition, it was important to me that we have a nimble and capable structure in place to handle that transition. And I feel very good about the fact that the organization is now led by three very capable individuals. Nat Matthews, our CFO and Chief Operations Officer, who's been here for several years. Maria Gonzalez, our Chief Advancement Officer, who is responsible for all of the fundraising and events management here at the American Alpine Club. And a new individual on the team, Misha Charles, who's responsible for all of our programs, education, volunteers, public policy, among others. I'd like to also just briefly comment on last year's financial results. John Bird, I know, is online watching, couldn't be here with us today, so I'm going to take his place in reporting that the audit this year was clean with no deficiencies or material adjustments or misstatements. I really want to thank Nat Matthews for the great job he does running the finance side of our business. And without going into greater detail, last year resulted in a $431,820 operating loss. The majority of that was associated with our hosting of the International World Cup Ice Climbing Finals here in Denver. Moving on to this year, we're in a much better situation. You can see the slide, I hope, on your screens. Membership dues are at $652,000 year to date, over $516,000 at about the same time last year. Fundraising is up from last year, $369,000, over $222,000 last year. Program services are also doing well, resulting in a net income year to date of $152,101. The highlight, I think, for all of us here is that in February, we crossed and cemented our membership at over 25,000 members. And I'll just reminisce for one moment and remember that when I started this job 15 years ago, we had 5,400 members, and just sort of as a vote of confidence, we immediately dipped to 4,800 members before we were able to turn it around and start to grow again. One of the things that we've done recently is a minor modification to our mission. It now reads, "To share our passion for climbing and respect for the places we climb." We felt that that was a much more welcoming version of the sentence that we had before. And one of the main reasons that we did that is that we believe that the AAC is the club for all climbers, and we want to be as welcoming an institution as we can be. So, next slide, please. I'm quite proud of our attention to diversity and equity and inclusion and justice here at the AAC. We've got a staff task force that reports to senior management on the topic. We're hiring an HR director to focus specifically on these topics. And there just are a couple of sort of fun statistics that I'd like to share with the membership. Over the last 3 years, more women have joined than men. In fact, in 2019, 569 more women than men joined or renewed with the AAC. And 30% of our membership growth in 2019 was reported to come from non-white members.
Can I jump in really quick?
Sure, Deanne.
And I'm Deanne Buck. I'm the past president and also the chair of the search committee looking for Phil's replacement. And I also want to reiterate or comment on the fact that at the board level, we are also equally committed to justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, and especially as we're looking for the replacement CEO, making a commitment to inclusive practices and really along the way as a committee, examining any biases that we might be bringing to the practice or to the process, and challenging ourselves to really examine those in order to bring a diverse pool of candidates.
Great, thank you. Speaking of transition, it is my last year. I'm available through the end of the fiscal year as needed. We do, as I mentioned before, have a solid leadership team in place to handle that transition. And with regard to the new CEO effort itself, we have a search committee in place and a search firm at work. They've been at work since January. The final interviews will take place in May. The final selection should be done by the June board meeting, that's June 6th. The start date, of course, is an unknown. And one thing I'd like you to do at your leisure when this meeting's over, or even now for that matter, is taking a look at our new branding guidelines. You'll find at the base of our website a lot of key background information that you as members might want to take advantage of. That's where we house the list of current board members. That's where we house the list of current committees. That's where we house our current press, our branding guidelines. So please peruse the bottom navigation of the website to familiarize yourself with any of the details that you might be interested in with regard to the inner workings of the American Alpine Club. And finally, I hope you'll join us at a different link in about an hour for our first virtual annual. I think everyone's aware of the reasons we've made this change. Certainly our efforts at participating in stemming the growth and transmission of COVID-19 in the United States are important. We've canceled all of our national events across the nation through April 15th. We may need to extend that. That's what we've done as of yesterday. And with that, I'd like to turn it back over to our president, Kevin Duncan.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it. So if we could go to the board slate, as the world has changed around us in the last 7 to 10 days. The board always changes around us a bit, so I'm thrilled to propose for ratification of this board slate, Karsong Sherpa, Hillary Nelson, Rob DeCanto, and starting his second term will be our secretary, David Landman. So I will need a motion from out there in cyberspace to ratify this slate. Otherwise, I'll get it from this room.
And I think there's a little delay, so we might want to just wait a couple
Okay.
minutes, a couple seconds.
Okay. I saw some work. You mentioned about the minutes, so that's okay.
John Bird, so moved.
Thanks, John. And I have a second,
I'll have to wait another
which I think we can get from here.
I have a second from Ellen Lapham.
Thank you. Then I will ask all in favor, and we will assume if anyone's opposed, please let us know. Otherwise, these are your new trustees. and
We see
move on
unanimous
along.
votes from the room.
Thank you. And then the next slide was the officer slate, and this was voted in yesterday by the board at our meeting. So again, I will serve as president of the club, honored and humbled. Carrie Roberts will be vice president. John Bird will continue as treasurer. I'm happy to ask David Landman to join us as secretary. He's agreed. And of course, Deanne Buck will be the immediate past president, which is an honored role around this place, and very much appreciative to have her counsel still around us. So that was more for an advisory to the membership. We can go, we have that slide. So at the end, I will accept a motion, if I could get a motion to approve the actions of the American Alpine Club Board and staff during fiscal 2019. Should you last year. We'll wait till cyberspace catches up with real space. And I'll need a second too.
Keep taking up in views as well.
We're up to 30. All right, well, on this one, I might accept it if I can get a second motion from the room. Maria, thank you. Carson.
Moved by Maria and seconded by Carson.
Yeah. And if there's any, I'm just gonna ask all in favor. If there's any, anyone that is not in favor of this, let us know. Did you hear something?
No, John just.
Okay, great. And then again, as we bring new trustees in, we always have the unfortunate ability to say goodbye to some others that are have served most of them all 6 years. Kit Delorier served many roles for the board, and then Phil Lakin served at the executive committee and chair of finance and a great trustee for many years. And we do have their awards here, which we will get to them since neither are here with us today. But thank you to both of them from the entire board of trustees. And with that, I will accept a motion to adjourn unless Mr. Powers or anyone else has.
No, I just
anything
want
else
to
to
add thanks to the outgoing board members. Kit and Phil served impeccably well. Phil served, I think, more than 7. I think they both served more than 2 terms. They both served time on the executive committee, and we very much benefited from their involvement in service.
Well, I would be remiss to not thank Deanne Buck for her service as the president for the last 2 years, and then certainly to Mr. Powers for 15 great years since this will be his last annual meeting. So I want to thank them both personally.
Thanks,
having the board.
Thank you for
You're welcome. So I will accept a motion to adjourn. I'll probably do that internally here since it takes a little while in cyberspace.
I will make the motion to adjourn.
Great. Thanks, Carson. Well, thanks, everybody. I know this was not the way we were planning to do this, and we will endeavor to see everyone next year.
And as well as in about a half an hour.
And yeah, please come back. Please come back and join us. So,
Bye now.
thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
There was a dog toy in the back.